What if I told you DevShort 80 might be the start of another huge shift for Warframe, one that could even bring Ember back into the spotlight? That's the vibe I got from this update, because Digital Extremes didn't just drop normal news, they dropped hints that could change the game. And honestly, it caught me off guard in the best way possible. In DevShort 80, DE confirmed that this will be their last dev stream before a major transition, and they're going out with some big reveals. They talked about the release window for Old Peace, teased the new Focus expansion, and even mentioned that the update is going to be pretty huge in size. And get this, a Dante augment is coming in 2026, which feels wild to hear this early. But the highlight for me wasn't any of that. It was when they said Ember's 4th ability is officially on their radar.
We'll see.
Steve, buff Ember's 4th. Just reading chat.
I give you a job.
Android question.
I give you a job.
I know I should be assembling
You should
this
be assembling
with
the statue.
like zip it.
Yeah, exactly.
Zip it. Sorry.
Like you have
Yeah.
something.
I know.
you need to
I
be
know.
doing.
I know.
Please do
I
your
know. I'll
job.
work on it after I read all of these.
Buff Ember's 4. People want World on Fire back, and they've wanted that forever, but we're not talking about that right now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry to
It's
say.
on the radar. Things like this.
Yes, it's on the radar in the sense that we have full visibility on it.
Yep.
We can't do it right now.
If you follow DE's patterns, you know that when they call out something like this, it usually means they're preparing to touch it. That alone makes me think an Ember Rework could actually be in the pipeline. This is the kind of hint that gets Ember fans like me hopeful again. DE doesn't casually acknowledge abilities unless they're planning something, and with how much attention they're giving to other parts of the game, it feels like Ember might finally get some love too. Until then, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because the Fire Queen deserves it. If you want more updates like this, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I'd love to hear what you think about all these hints from DevShort 80. Okay, so let me give you a lesson from the past about how good was Ember's ultimate. Well, not everyone agrees with this, but I really love Ember's World on Fire. Back then, Ember's Old World on Fire was one of the most iconic set-it-and-forget-it abilities in Warframe. When you turned it on, Ember surrounded herself with a huge ring of fire that constantly burned enemies around her. The flames would tick every second, dealing heat damage that scaled well enough for early and mid-level missions. It felt amazing because you didn't have to aim or chase anything. Enemies just walked into Ember's radius and melted. This made her a popular choice for quick missions, low-level farming, and clearing rooms without much effort. As you stayed in the mission, World on Fire used to increase its damage and shrink its radius over time. This was part of the old rework that tried to balance the ability. The longer it stayed active, the more damage you would do, but the smaller the area became. At its peak damage, the range became tight, so Ember players had to stay closer to enemies. If you wanted the bigger radius again, you simply turned it off and reactivated it. It was a strange balance between huge coverage and high burn damage, but it gave Ember a unique playstyle. The main reason Ember's Old World on Fire was changed is because it made missions too easy and too automatic. Players could run through maps with almost no interaction, which caused problems in co-op because other players didn't get to do much. Enemies at higher levels also tanked the damage, so Ember would fall off unless you built her very carefully. Eventually, DE replaced it with her current Inferno ability, which focuses on targeting enemies directly instead of full auto-burning an entire room. Even today, many players still remember the Old World on Fire as one of the most satisfying press-4-to-win abilities in Warframe's past. I really think the main reason Ember's Old World on Fire got nerfed was because of how players used it back then. I remember seeing people sit in one corner of a survival mission, turn on World on Fire, and just let the game play itself. The flames did all the work, and the player barely moved. It was easy, sure, but it kind of broke the point of the mode. You didn't need strategy, positioning, or even awareness. You just stood there, and everything around you burned. This was even more common in Void Fisher missions. I saw so many squads where the Ember player would stand still while their world on fire cleared the room non-stop. It made the mission fast, but it also turned the whole run into an AFK experience. Other players barely got to interact, and it created a weird imbalance in co-op. When one ability can do everything with almost no effort, it's obvious something would eventually change. That's why I believe Digital Extremes pushed for a more active rework. They wanted Ember to feel involved again, rather than being used as a stationary nuke tower. By replacing World on Fire with a more hands-on kit, they encouraged players to move, target enemies, and actually play the game. And honestly, looking back, it makes sense. Ember's rework wasn't just about balance, it was about keeping the gameplay fun for everyone. Ember's rework changed almost every part of her kit, starting with how she builds and spends heat. Instead of relying on passive burning from World on Fire, she now gains heat on Ember, a meter that fills as she uses abilities and deals heat damage. The higher the meter, the stronger her abilities become, but she also takes more incoming damage. This adds a real risk-reward flow to her gameplay. Fireball became more explosive with charge mechanics. Fire Blast turned into a reliable armor-stripping shockwave, and Immolation turned Ember into a walking furnace. Managing that heat meter became the heart of her kit, giving her a more active and skill-based loop compared to her old passive burn. The biggest shift came from replacing World on Fire with Inferno, which is now her new nuke-style ability. Instead of a constant ring of flames, Inferno marks enemies within line of sight and lights them on fire one by one, spreading heat to nearby targets. It hits harder, scales better, and feels way more interactive because you actually choose when and where to cast it. Combined with Immolation's damage reduction and Fire Blast's armor removal, Ember finally became a complete high-damage, high-mobility caster instead of a stationary burn machine. The rework made her more viable at higher levels and gave her a more modern, responsive playstyle that fit Warframe's faster pace. But even with all those improvements, I still think they shouldn't have removed World on Fire. It was one of Ember's most iconic abilities, and it gave her a unique identity as the frame that turned the whole map into an inferno. The new kit is strong, polished, and undeniably better for game balance, but World on Fire had a special charm that players still remember. In my opinion, D could have kept the ability in some form, maybe as an augment or an alternate mode, so Ember could keep that classic burn the whole room identity while still fitting into the active playstyle of her rework. Right now, I've been using Ember more as a weapon platform, and it actually works better than I expected. Her Fireball Frenzy augment is the core of the setup because it gives a big heat bonus to my weapons. Once that heat buff is active, even basic shots feel like they're melting everything. It turns Ember into this great support damage hybrid where she boosts her own guns instead of relying on her abilities to clear enemies. To push it even further, I pair Fireball Frenzy with Roar, and the two buffs stack beautifully. Roar amps up the heat status damage, which makes the burn ticks hit harder than most people expect. For the build itself, I just load up on power strength, so the heat bonus from Fireball Frenzy gets as high as possible, then let Roar amplify it. It's a simple combo, but the damage output is insane, especially for single-target weapons or status-heavy guns. This has been my go-to Ember build lately because it feels clean, strong, and reliable. But deep down, I still hope we see World on Fire return someday. Inferno is fine, but to me, it doesn't hold a candle to what World on Fire used to feel like. That constant burning radius, the instant room clear, the identity of Ember being this walking firestorm, Inferno just doesn't match that. So while I enjoy using her as a weapon buffer for now, I'll always hope DE brings back some version of World on Fire. Even if it's reworked or redesigned, having that iconic ability return would make Ember feel complete again. To wrap all of this up, I'll be honest, Inferno is a good ultimate, but it just doesn't compare to World on Fire. The best thing about World on Fire was how it turned Ember into a true walking inferno, constantly burning everything in her radius without needing perfect line of sight or repeated casts. It wasn't just the damage, it was the ever-present pressure, the feeling that Ember controlled the whole battlefield just by existing in it. Inferno tries to replicate that burst power, but it lacks the raw presence and effortless coverage that made World on Fire so iconic. And that's why, no matter how solid Ember's current kit is, World on Fire will always feel like the ultimate that defined her.